I'm the doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this Doctor Who video. Today, we're going to be reviewing the episode Rose from 2005. Yes, that's right, everybody. Welcome to the first review of many. For the next 13 weeks, I will be reviewing every single episode of the first season of the rebooted series, starting with the episode Rose. So, let's jump into it. As is regular on this channel, with every review, we'll be starting with a recap to get to know our characters. So let's do it. Meet Rose, your average teenager living in London in the year 2005. She works at the local shopping center and she lives with her mom. She's also got a boyfriend named Mickey. Now meet the Doctor, an alien from outer space who's come to London, England, to stop the invasion of the living plastic. The Doctor and Rose meet at the shopping center where the Doctor blows it all up. The next day, Rose wakes up confused and she hears a noise at the front door. Outside the door is the Doctor. He's investigating, trying to find the root of the signal transmitting a wave, making the mannequins come alive. Rose pulls him into the flat, and to their shared surprise, the hand of one of the mannequins from the day before attacks Rose. The Doctor uses his sonic screwdriver to cut the signal, rendering the hand useless. The Doctor disappears, and Rose starts looking up who the Doctor is online. She finds a website created by a man named Clive. The website is urging anyone who's seen the Doctor to take contact. So Rose and Mickey visit Clive and he elaborates on the Doctor, who he is and where he's been spotted throughout history. In the meanwhile, Mickey is abducted by the Audsons created by the Nestine consciousness, and a replacement is sent in his place. The plastic Mickey soon after demands information from Rose regarding the Doctor. The Doctor, however, interferes and manages to rip the head off of the plastic Mickey as Rose and him escapes to the TARDIS. The Doctor manages to trace the signal to downtown London, and the two explore the town, finding the base of the operations for the Audsons located in the center of the London Eye. The Doctor tries to reason with the Nestine consciousness to leave the planet in peace. However, the Nestine consciousness discovers that he is a Time Lord, and therefore was at the center of the Time War, an ancient war between the Daleks and the Time Lords where the Audston race were vaporized. Upon this discovery, the Nestine consciousness initiates war against the human race, submitting a signal that brings all the mannequins in town to life. They immediately start killing every human, including Clive, but at the last minute, Rose manages to save the day by swinging across the base and allowing the Doctor to regain control. Mickey, who was kidnapped at the Audston base, follows Rose and the Doctor into the TARDIS as the Audston base blows up. Earth has been saved, and the episode concludes with Rose leaving Mickey behind and following the Doctor into the TARDIS to fly off into new adventures. Alright, that was a short recap of the episode. Now, let's get into my review. Let's start off by talking a little bit about the villain of the week, the Audsons. Now, the Audsons were robots that resemble plastic shop window mannequins animated by the Nestine consciousness. Our first introduction to the Audsons was in the story Spearhead from Space from Season 7, starring the third Doctor John Pertwee back in 1970. They really are a classic villain, and they've also been featured in Terror of the Audsons from 1971, as well as the two-parter The Pandorica Opens and The Big Bang from 2010. The question on everyone's mind is, of course, when will they return? Now, if we're talking about this episode specifically, I just want to say that my favorite scene from this episode is definitely when the Doctor explains kind of who he is by using the whole metaphor of the Earth's rotation and how he can feel it. I think Christopher Eccleston just has a way with words and speeches in general. He's so amazing. This is the moment that I fell in love with Doctor Who. This was the first episode I ever watched of Doctor Who back in 2012, and this is what made me fall in love with the show.
It's like when you're a kid. The first time they tell you that the world's turning and you just can't quite believe it because everything looks like it's standing still. I can feel it.
However, my least favorite scene is the end scene where Rose leaves Mickey to run off with the Doctor. Now, it's a great scene, but I have to talk a little bit about Mickey, okay? Mickey is a great character, and he's definitely redeemed in Season 2, but in this episode, he's being displayed as this puppy dog, you know, this weak-minded person who's just really attached to Rose, and like, you know, it's kind of like she's his mom, and he's just scared, and like, it just brings the wrong perception of Mickey, who's a great character, a really three-dimensional character who can do a lot of things for himself, but he's portrayed in this episode as this puppy dog, and I really don't like it. The scene in the end where he's wrapped himself around her leg and like is begging her not to go, it's pathetic. Honestly, it's pathetic. And I love Noel Clarke. I think he's an amazing actor. I think he does an amazing job as Mickey in the series, but I really disliked this part. I really did. But while we're talking about actors and characters, I just want to say that Camille Coduri, that plays Jackie Tyler, Rose's mom, is just amazing, and she does a great job of portraying Rose's mom. And her introduction in this episode is just, it's the funniest bits of this episode. Definitely has to do with Jackie. The scene where the doctor comes in to their apartment and Jackie is standing in her nightgown saying, "Oh, there's a strange man in my bedroom. Anything could happen." It's just, I died laughing. It's a really a canon scene, and it's one of my favorites of all time.
There's a strange man in my bedroom.
Yes, there is.
Where anything could happen.
Billie Piper's introduction in this episode is great as well, but I was a little bit disappointed because I feel like already in this episode we can sense that something's going to happen between her and the doctor, like that she's going to fall in love with him. And I know this is deliberate, but I love Billie Piper. I think she's an amazing actress, but the Rose character seems one-dimensional. However, this is what I love about Doctor Who, is actually Rose Tyler. Rose Tyler is just a normal human Earth girl. That she becomes the companion of the Doctor is wonderful, honestly, because I feel like this is a thing with Russel T Davies. He liked to take ordinary people and make them companions of the Doctor, where Stephen Moffat more had a thing with trying to make all the companions be special and unique. And for example, Clara, that was, created to save the Doctor, and like it's all these. Stephen Moffat had a thing where the companions needed to have a specific purpose. Where Russel T Davies just figured, hey, let's throw this ordinary Earth girl into the TARDIS with the Doctor and see what happens. And this is what I love about the show. However, there's a real gem in this episode, and that's the character of Clive. I feel like we kind of forgot about him in the later years, but he's amazing, isn't he? I mean, my biggest distaste in this episode is actually the scene where Clive dies. I would have loved to have seen him dive in and become a more developed character in the series. I feel like he could really be three-dimensional. I love the scene where he's in the shed of his house with Rose, explaining who the Doctor is. I would have loved to have seen him grow on the show and become maybe a regular, participant, companion. And I think it's a real shame that he was killed. It would have been cool to have seen this character of Clive appear in like a spin-off series, for example. Hey, they did it with Torchwood. Why not with Clive? Give him his own show, man. Now, it's time for the rating of this episode. As is tradition on the Doctor Who Is My Life channel, I will be rating the episode in TARDISes. And this episode gets 4 out of 5 TARDISes. Because I feel like it could be a lot better. But the 4 out of 5 TARDISes rating, you'll see a lot throughout this season, I feel like. Because this is an amazing episode. It really is. It really is an amazing episode. It's a great first-hand introduction to all the characters. But something's missing. Just this little thing that could have made the episode perfect. So that's why I'm giving it 4 out of 5. Okay, that was my review of the episode Rose from 2005. Let me know in the comments what you think of this episode. Are you as big as a fan of it as I am, or were you disappointed by it? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys next week with The End of the World. Bye.